STALKER Anomaly presents itself with one of the most unforgiving environments a game could possess. From the array of deadly anomalies, consistent radiation, scary mutants, and the plentiful stalkers in the zone, there is nothing out here that isn't trying to kill you. So how can we make things worse? By asking the question, can you beat STALKER Anomaly without taking any damage? The premise is really simple here, guys. Any damage results in death, but the reality, a little different. All of the various damages and effects you can experience in the zone are based on resistances, so you can't just tell the game damage equals death. Radiation kills, but only when you absorb it, which actually means suits can still be useful. It is an instant, but it's still pretty fast. Anomalies, mutants, and gunfire are all easy instant death. Hunger and thirst are tricky. We tried to set it, but couldn't quite figure it out, so we're kinda on the honor system for that, I guess. And the psi health I might have forgot to set correctly. I'm not really sure, but I have effectively no resistance to it. And that's the basics of it. Otherwise, everything is steady as she goes. We rocked a simple medium difficulty setup, yes, I changed it after starting the game, with the classic Dark Signal mod pack to keep things nice and clean. And for this adventure, there was a pretty easy choice of faction: Ecologists. Yeah, I know, but Wavy, you don't like the eggheads. You are goddamn right about that, I don't. But they have a unique position in the zone of being the most neutral faction. Military, mercs, and literally everybody except the Goonies leave you alone. And this will help us out a lot. Our adventure started as you might expect, giving us the ability to have 20 quick saves. Since death is at every possible coordinate pair of the zone, quick saves will be the only thing keeping us grounded at all. Cue the Invictus Iron Man no save scum no damage run comments. Good luck with that, whoever may try. I give you my blessing, and on your return, I will have an ice-cold, oily oafs waiting for you. Don't mind the Rockin' Stone.
For Rockin' Stone!
Our starting Yantar pushed us through the wild territory and into Rostock. A dog gave me a chomp and I folded like origami, just to point out how ridiculous this playthrough is going to be. Stalker knows just when to take and when to give, and even though someone gave Wavy a Glock, I found an auto-loading shotgun in about, 20 minutes of the game start. Our course of action right now is to do some missions in the Agriprom, which is conveniently right next to where we start our Living Legend mission set. What's not convenient is the pockets of radiation and the bandits. Did I mention the radiation? Silent killer that one is. We stopped at the military base before heading into the great swamps to be killed by the water. Don't worry, I did get killed by an anomaly too. Fucking damn it! After seeing Doc and getting our quest to find Straylock, I made the hop and skip back to Agriprom to talk to the technician, because I have apparently acquired another auto-loading shotgun, but this one has a magazine. Now, I'm not even kidding you, I spent a good 10 minutes trying to find out how I got that thing. I literally have no idea. Don't worry, our luck runs out just in time to go to the radar. But that's later. Let's get caught up on now. With the new hardware, the Agriprom Underground seemed like a great idea. Isn't it always? Of course it is! One set of documents later, we spent an eternity getting out of Straylock's hidey hole, grabbed some psi-sucker meat, and returned to my favorite, Professor Sakharov. We asked him about psi protection that we would need for future missions, and now we play my favorite game, STALKER Anomaly. I'm kidding, the waiting game! But we can't exactly just pass time, because, well, sleeping causes hunger and thirst, and those things could lower our health, and in other words, it could kill us. So the other option was to, play the game. Doesn't mean it'd be much easier, but certainly meant less doping around and more cash in my pocket. At least it isn't easier when I'm playing with my food. After the bandits kicked my ass in Cordon for 25 minutes or some shit, I ran up to Dead City to see if I could find my way into the northern part of the map. Since we had time, I was thinking it would be useful to scope out the map first. That way I could fast travel later when I need to do my thing. But the route I chose was cute. Dead City to Lubansk, and then Limansk to Jupiter. But of course, nothing is ever easy, because there was literally a pocket of radiation on top of the level transition. There was literally no other way but taking a radio protecting, the only way to get through. And what else but bandits did we get as a reward? Good thing I'm a bandit faction patch collector. Once we dealt with the looming bandit threat, I took a different route into Zaton through this northeast space restrictor. I could see that there were in fact stalkers here, but I wasn't fast enough in noticing that it was my Monolith brothers. Too bad I'm not aligned with Dwayne the Wish Granter Johnson on this playthrough. Once in Zaton, I harassed Beard quickly, told Owl his prices are too high and so am I, and then got on with my business, which involved an SVD, getting shot while looting, and of course, a Mosin Nagant. But I lost a bit of patience and tried to push ourselves forward a little bit by sleeping. Luckily, we had just enough time spent to get Sakharov to finish the Psy helmet, so we celebrated the good news with our DS Arms SA-58. No, I don't know how I got it. By going into the Miracle Machine. The lab itself was not that bad. I mean, when you're flushing bloodsuckers like this, the machine isn't a big deal. It was mainly the Sega that I had with me that was doing all the heavy lifting. And yeah, the poor controller got lit up like a Christmas tree. After getting out of the Snort tunnel, we returned to Sakharov to berate him for being such a nerd. Now I do need to admit one small mistake. No, it's not about the playthrough, damn it! Instead, it was about the next series of events. I had played for like 2 hours or so over the week and recorded footage, but unfortunately, OBS was recording a blank device instead of my screen, so I have 2 hours of a black screen instead of stalker footage. But this is only a small mistake because it's mostly irrelevant. I was playing to try to get up rep and such to hopefully get a bigger backpack and potentially a better suit. It was all prep for the radar. But we spent a lot of time fighting, and instead, I just went and upgraded my current suit. Time for the radar. I felt like taking the long way, so I had a chance to fight at range instead of close quarters. But one thing I did miss in the lost footage was fighting the radar entrance. Although the game had made sure to give me something to work with besides radiation, and filled the radar entrance with Monolith once again. I tried very hard to stay hidden and keep my head down, but boy, them Monolith brats had some aim on them. It was time to start sweating. No lackadaisical bullshitting around was going to get rid of the Monolith. And with a little perseverance and quick saves, it was time to make the run. Before I even got the chance to fight Monolith, we had to deal with not one, but 2 controllers. And as you can tell by the pretty sky disposed over my screen, that old Psy stuff seems to be killing us. Round 2, I escaped from this anomaly and gave that controller a few 308 donations. Now we can fight the Monolith, but after I reload the save for radiation death. We struggled a bit here, so to keep alive I popped the radiant protectant and re-killed the Monolith guards. But this run would prove to not be very easy. You ready for a mid-video death montage to help us get to the radar? Let's get it. Alright, seriously, this is getting ridiculous. I even skipped a couple at the end there. The radar was proving to be a serious task, but we did it, don't you worry. Getting out was a similar story to getting in. 1 death, 2 death, 3 death, and 4. While we died in the radar, we came across easily one of the strongest weapons in the game, the Scar H. But my friend on stream at the time dared me to just drop it. Of course, had to take it for a quick test drive before we threw away such a prize, but we completed the stream's challenge. And do you know what we got as a reward? A quick death, of course. Now, I'm sure some of you are starting to notice something. The fact that I'm dying literally all the time, everywhere, but somehow we still are powering ahead through the game. Yes, of course. If we were not allowed quick saves, this challenge would quickly become less of a challenge and more of a burden. In the end, each of these challenges are designed to at least have some avenue at which we can succeed, even if the circumstances may be ridiculous like they are right now. But you see, this is really only the beginning. There is quite a lot left to do in this game besides the radar. And quite frankly, there is one obstacle that I'm not very sure of being able to get around. But before we get started on that, let's get ourselves out of the radar and back to the Skatovsk. We spoke to Beard, who told us to harass Strelok's friend Rogue on the other side of the ship. Rogue is clearly not fond of ecologists like myself, but I insisted and he sent me on a fetch quest. After repairing my guns, I made the short journey to the corner of Zaton to go into this literal lab. But not a lab in the sense of all the special underground levels of Stalker, just a lab that happened to have an experimental Gauss rifle on the desk waiting for me. As if it was all planned. One quick sprint back to the Skatovsk and Rogue was ready to join us for a jaunt to Pripyat. After annoying a side dog with a shotgun, we arrived quickly at the Jupiter underground entrance, and were greeted by, you guessed it, absolutely nothing? Ha, bet you didn't guess that. But I'm sure you'll guess what we have to deal with next, cause you see, there's our usual set of snorks available in this underground level, but the Tushkanos, our friendly little rats, oh, you don't get it. They can actually kill us. Not plague rats, plain old stupid rats that I can click the F key to instantly end its existence. At least I got killed by the fire anomaly, radiation, and snork, not the rats. When we got further in, there was an enormous amount of gunfire coming from deeper in the tunnel. We know that it's a monolith, but surprisingly, unlike all the other times we come here, they got beat the hell up by a gaggle of snorks. Rogue and I cleaned up the stragglers. I got killed by zombies more times than I was personally comfortable with. Really didn't expect them to put up the biggest fight. And once we left the underground, I also immediately got pinched by the monolith. And in round 2, I wasted no time making a full speed sprint for the laundromat. I left Rogue to kill the monolith ambush while I spoke to the main man, Strelok. He, Rogue, and Stitch gave me some things to do all over the outskirts, so I went, killed a controller, gave more than just the beans, that poor pseudo-giant, and then set off to the lab in the outskirts where I promptly got erased by a monolith soldier wielding a KS-23. After giving the monolith soldier a little taste, we turned our attention to the hordes of zombies that would soon descend on our location. Figured, why not give our Glock a little workout? The rest of the monolith presence at the service center traded deaths with me until I started to lose my patience and let the SA-58 loose. Once inside the lab, I played Ring Around the Rosie with the snork until it lightly scraped my shirt and I died. And now here's a bit of a twist. In this here lab, I headed for the bathroom to drop a duke, but I was quickly distracted by the compass artifact that the Bureaus were trying to throw at me. Of course, I grabbed it right away, then realized that it was going to push the tiniest bit of radiation to my body that would cause my death. So I left the lab, ran to the laundromat, and bought the lead line container and a new backpack from the trader. Oh, and yes, I bought the Monolith scientific suit, plus 45% rad resistance than my current suit. Worth it. With haste, we ran back to the lab, and yes, it does lock you out. Shh, let's pretend it didn't, okay? I contemplated a life when we re-entered the lab to a controller yell, although I really shouldn't have. He ain't that scary. So, here was idea number 1. Take the compass and put it in the container. Fail. Controller. Death. Idea number 2. Radio protectant. Fail. Idea number 3. Turn off backpack animations and drink vodka. Success. Haha. Now, here's a small issue. Our task currently is to beat the game without taking damage. And what do you know? We have taken damage. However, what we will discover is that the damage was caused by drinking the vodka, not radiation. Part of me says the challenge is now a fail because we have taken damage and have not reversed our course. The other part of me says, fuck it. You are free to make your own choice. But we are continuing on nonetheless. I killed the peeper in the bathroom, collected documents, killed the other Bureaus, and left the lab once more. Now it's time to begin some of the most difficult parts of the game. It started with a monolith ambush that I decided to wait and have them come to me. A quick walk through Pripyat, and then getting killed by a pseudo-giant before I even make it into the next map. At least Rogue gave me this nice Gauss rifle. As is the case with Anomaly, we are asked to take down the Monolith soldier known as Elan, who is supposedly invincible. Such is the reason for the Gauss rifle. But suspiciously, when we arrived in Pripyat, we were met with little resistance. That was until I came across the man of the hour. Cue the fancy rifle, and of course cue my death due to Strayluck walking into my line of fire. Thanks, Strayluck, big help you are. Now, I still do not know if this is a part of my current mod pack or not, but Elan has to be killed effectively 3 times. After getting him once, all hell broke loose, but I managed to locate Elan again and give him the old 1 to the head, 2 to the head, which brought him to round 3. But don't think I didn't do this without getting killed, come on now. The Monolith presence I expected was all here, and after putting down dozens of soldiers, we had Elan back in our crosshairs. An additional 1-2 to the face left Elan in a puddle, and me very happy. Get fucked, boy! I was certainly a little apprehensive about actually completing this, but it wasn't that bad. And all that stood in front of us now was the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. I got instantly ganged by a chimera and multiple side doggies, zapped by a roaming electrical anomaly, and kissed by a bullet fired from a very long distance away. With a little motion action, dithering around while my friendlies killed everybody, and some more motion action, we found ourselves inside the plant. I'm not gonna beat around the bush here, guys. There was genuinely a part of this that I thought it might not be something we could do. In this early hallway, there's a doorway we have to go through, then around a fence and through a hole in the wall to get to the next area. Super close quarters, blind corners, and a fence you can't shoot through. And Monolith and fucking exoskeletons and shit. After getting my shit kicked in over and over again, with barely anything I could try to do about it, we backed up, threw 13 .308 rounds at the Monolith in a little ambush, and then shot their legs through the tiny break in the fence. The start of the true assault. My momentum was unrelenting. My rage was relentless. My thirst for blood unquenchable. The Monolith simply stood no chance. It was done and over before you could even say Mosin Nagant. Okay, no, I'm joking, guys. Obviously, we got popped here and there, but the momentum was truly undeniable. We had this under wraps, and the final portion of the Living Legend missions were simply GGEZ. So, can you beat Anomaly without taking any damage? Well, as long as you don't drink vodka while trying to keep yourself from dying to get the compass artifact, damn it! Otherwise, yeah, you can. Hope you guys enjoyed. Feels good to be back.